she stepped up as my wife and handled that. And there's been many times where I've been at my lowest, and she's always been the strongest to get me back up to like, get back out there. You gotta get back out there and do what you do. Don't worry about what's happening over here. I'm gonna handle that.
Snoop Dogg's whole legacy, the family man image, the loyal husband, the proud hip-hop leader, is now being shaken by a claim so wild it could flip the entire story of his famous household. Sources close to him are saying he got DNA results showing that none of the 4 kids he raised with Shante Broadus, Cord, Cordell, Corey, and Julian, are biologically his. This isn't lightweight gossip. This is the kind of revelation that makes people stop in their tracks. This situation isn't simple drama. It's a legal storm waiting to hit, and insiders say Snoop is getting ready to file for divorce with one mission in mind: revealing the truth, even if it turns everything around him upside down. The idea that he might expose all of this after years of staying quiet is shocking enough to freeze the industry. For almost 30 years, the Broadus family has been treated like a protected dynasty by fans, a solid household standing strong in a world full of broken promises. Snoop and Shante were seen as proof that love could actually survive fame, pressure, and non-stop attention. They married in 1997, renewed their vows in 2008 after splitting briefly in 2004, and always presented themselves as a couple that refused to fall apart. They built a whole family brand together. Cameras followed them through their daily life on Snoop Dogg's fatherhood, showing him as a strict but caring dad who guided his kids with tough lessons and soft jokes. But behind the scenes, insiders now claim things weren't picture-perfect at all, and those cracks in the foundation were showing long before any DNA test entered the picture. While Snoop was pushing the image of a loyal husband, he was also dealing with long-running talk about infidelity, whispers that stretch all the way back to the late 90s. In 1998, just 1 year after marrying Shante, he welcomed a son named Julian with another woman, Lori Hellman, and even acknowledged him publicly. But people close to the situation say that moment opened a wound in the marriage that never truly closed, no matter how calm things looked on the surface. Some in his inner circle claim Shante never forgot that betrayal and used it as quiet power, reminding him who handled the finances, who ran the household, and who eventually had the strongest influence over his entire career. The idea that this became a long-term power shift makes the situation feel even more intense. What complicates everything even more is that Shante isn't just his wife. She's also his manager, his business ally, and the person who filters everything that reaches him. Since she officially stepped into that full role in June 2021, she's had her hands on nearly every part of his business world, from entertainment deals to beverage partnerships to his major 2023 move acquiring Death Row Records. Publicly, Snoop has always credited her for keeping him grounded, even saying he wouldn't have reached this level without her guidance. Privately, those same contracts that once looked like teamwork now feel more like chains, according to someone inside his crew. Snoop's legal team is reportedly digging through every detail, trying to figure out whether her influence was rooted in love or strategy. That quiet tension finally blew up earlier this year after Sug Knight, the former Death Row Records boss and Snoop's longtime rival, popped back up online from prison with a post many people brushed off as wild talk. In February 2024, Sug wrote on X claiming that Shante had been spotted taking private trips to Hawaii with another man. At the time, Snoop's reps dismissed it as a bitter rival trying to stir trouble, saying it was nothing but noise. But now, with these alleged DNA results circulating among attorneys, Sug's message suddenly feels different, almost like a warning people ignored too quickly. Some insiders are even asking if that post was the first public sign of something much deeper happening behind the scenes. Meanwhile, Shante has been busy building her own power and boosting her name. She runs Boss Lady Entertainment, manages multiple recording and film projects, and even co-created the Broadus collection, products inspired by their daughter Corey's health journey. Her growing influence has become impossible to ignore, especially now that everything around the family is being questioned. From the outside, she looked like the backbone of Snoop's entire world, the person holding his home and his empire together. But his sudden change in energy over the past few months, especially during public events, has made people wonder if the polished image was carefully crafted. In one NBC interview last fall, he called her the good to my bad. Yet people close to him now describe someone who feels blindsided, hurt, and embarrassed by what he believes has been happening behind his back. If these DNA results turn out to be real, and so far no one from Snoop's official team has come forward to deny their existence, the situation goes way beyond family drama. This touches inheritance questions, ownership concerns, and the direction of an entire multi-million-dollar empire that has been built piece by piece over decades. Each of Snoop's children has played a public part in expanding the broadest brand. Cord stepped into music like his father. Cordell pushed into filmmaking and entrepreneurship. Corey built her own lane in music and beauty. And Julian, the one who stayed more private, created a path in the tech world. If none of them turn out to be biologically his, every partnership and endorsement built around the image of the broadest family could end up under legal review.
You're gonna establish yourself as a businessman. That I wasn't taught on Death Row Records. All my cars was in Sug Knight name.
Wow.
The most painful twist in all this is that Snoop built a huge part of his identity around being a father figure. He always said he wanted to show a different form of masculinity, one rooted in love and responsibility. In a 2015 interview, he explained that his bond with his kids meant more than anything, describing it as a friendship shaped by guidance and respect. Now, those same heartfelt words he once shared carry a heavy, almost haunting weight, according to insiders. They say the revelation hit him hard, with one source describing his state as controlled rage, the kind that builds slowly but never cools. Word is, he's been meeting quietly with legal teams in Los Angeles since late summer, preparing to face Shante not just as a spouse, but as someone he may now see as a business opponent. At the same time, Sug Knight's recent accusations have stirred up old shadows from Snoop's past. Knight, who once played a key role in Snoop's early career during the Death Row era, has been dropping hints through his prison-based podcast, suggesting that Snoop has his own hidden issues ready to surface. The timing of these hints has people raising eyebrows. In one segment, Knight suggested that family betrayals were about to come out, tying them to unresolved money disputes surrounding Snoop's 2023 purchase of Death Row Records. Back then, his comments seemed random, almost like loose talk with no target. But looking at them now, they feel more like coded alerts, leaving people wondering whether Knight knew something before the world caught on. It's important to remember that the history between Snoop and Knight is packed with tension, danger, and courtroom drama, especially throughout the mid-90s. They went from mentor and artist to rivals locked in public conflict for years. Yet in a surprising twist, Snoop publicly forgave Knight in 2018, calling him a real one, a moment many didn't see coming. And when Snoop later bought Death Row, fans treated it like a full circle moment, a sign that the past had finally been put to rest. Now, with these personal revelations crashing into the open, that moment of forgiveness may have unlocked something far more dangerous, a fresh battle over reputation, power, and legacy. Industry watchers point out that Snoop's entire business empire is tightly woven into Shante's management company, and several major contracts list her as a co-executive. That means if a divorce turns into a legal fight, assets could be frozen instantly, putting everything he built on pause. Then add the rising accusations coming from Sug Knight and quiet talk about old legal cases being looked at again, and suddenly this doesn't resemble a simple household problem anymore. It looks like the early stages of a full-on corporate meltdown, the kind that could shake everything around him. Those legal shadows have followed Snoop for years, from his widely covered 1996 trial to later civil cases tied to events after concerts. He's always balanced fame with controversy, but insiders are saying this situation hits him harder than any courtroom ever did. They claim he sees this as the deepest cut of all, the moment his own home, the place he spent 3 decades shaping into a symbol of stability, turned into unfamiliar territory. If these tests are real, one massive question hangs over everything. Who are the biological fathers of the broadest children? And how long has this truth been hidden away? Behind the carefully polished image of hip-hop's favorite uncle, sources whisper different theories. Some mention men connected to the industry, while others point toward people tied to Shante's business network. No names have been confirmed, but the sudden lockdown around Snoop's inner circle, paired with his move out of the family mansion earlier this fall, makes it clear a storm is already hitting behind closed doors. Even old photos feel different now. The vow renewals, the family dinners, the hospital visits during Corey's health struggles. All those moments that looked unbreakable now seem like they were sitting on shaky ground. For someone who has always lived by the motto of loyalty, this kind of discovery slices deeper than any industry feud or public argument could ever do. And while he quietly builds his legal strategy piece by piece, there's one truth his closest allies can't ignore anymore. This situation is bigger than what people think, because here's the part almost no one is saying out loud yet. This isn't just a divorce. This is a full-scale power shift, almost like a corporate takeover happening inside his own household. and Snoop Dogg appears ready to step into battle mode. Snoop didn't rise to global icon status by walking away from a challenge, and people around him say he's preparing to move with precision and force. And this time, he isn't just fighting for his marriage, he's fighting for his entire name and identity. If these DNA results are real, then Shante Broadus didn't just betray him as a partner in life. She betrayed him as a business ally, a parent, and the architect behind his clean, grown man image. The whole evolution that made him a symbol of
the turmoil and the stuff that I put her through in my journey on becoming successful, because I had no understanding of what I was doing her, how I was hurting her.
maturity in hip-hop, the loyalty, the family pride, the shift from hard edges to a gentler presence is now hanging by a thin thread. What started as a private heartbreak has turned into a high-stakes corporate emergency, one that could reshape the public's perception of one of music's most influential figures. People close to him say the legal plan forming behind closed doors is unlike anything he's ever put together before. His lawyers are preparing to argue that Shante's alleged deception wasn't just emotional harm. They believe it qualifies as financial fraud. For more than 20 years, she handled contracts, locked down endorsement deals, and managed licensing for everything from beverage lines to digital ventures. If she hid the truth about paternity while presenting herself as the trusted moral center of the Broadus household, his team says that could legally fall under misrepresentation. It's a daring strategy, but his circle believes it's the only way to protect the estate he spent decades building. And with Snoop's empire estimated in the hundreds of millions, the risk is massive. If things don't go his way, Shante could walk off with half of everything, including pieces of his music catalog and even his death row assets. Behind all those numbers sits the real issue: control. Shante's management role gave her direct authority over his image, his schedule, his branding, and every major partnership he signed. That power became official in 2021 when she stepped in as his full-time manager, locking herself in as the executive mind behind everything carrying the Broadus name. But now, insiders say that entire move might be heading toward a major review. If a court decides she used her position to hide personal truths or influence assets unfairly, then every contract she touched could be dragged back into the spotlight for examination. That means audits, canceled deals, and years of financial paperwork pulled apart line by line. For an artist who rebuilt his name on peace, growth, and reinvention, this shift feels like a massive reversal. But this story takes an even stranger turn right here. In early 2025, Snoop's daughter Corey gave birth prematurely at just 25 weeks after facing serious health complications. The family's public statement described the moment as a blessing, a sign of unity during a crisis. But people on the inside are whispering something different. They say Corey's medical emergency may have unintentionally become a shield, a way to keep the public focused on sympathy instead of noticing the widening divide between Snoop and Shante. Around that same time, Snoop quietly removed several family photos from his social media, and Shante began appearing alone at multiple events, raising quiet questions in circles that were paying attention. Nobody connected the dots back then, but now it's hard not to see the pattern and wonder if the family tension had already hit a breaking point. And adding even more weight to the rumors, Sug Knight, once Snoop's mentor and later his rival, kept dropping mysterious messages through his prison-based podcast. In February 2024, he claimed Shante had been taking private trips with another man, and most people brushed it off as him stirring noise. But lately he doubled down, hinting that Snoop's entire rise to success may have been shaped from behind the scenes. According to the way Suga frames it, Shante wasn't just a supportive partner. She was a strategist who placed herself at the center of every business decision, making sure that nothing, not even sensitive moments or potential scandals, reached the public unless she approved it. And if there's even a small amount of truth in those claims, the fallout could be massive. Because this wouldn't just be a divorce, it could unravel one of hip-hop's most carefully crafted public images. A legacy built over decades could suddenly find itself under a microscope, and the questions are stacking up fast. How long did Shante allegedly know the truth behind those paternity tests? Who else might have known? And how deep does this situation really go now that everything is being examined from new angles? Did anyone else in Snoop's inner circle sense something was off? And why would someone with her own thriving business empire risk everything just to keep a family image intact? Some people in the industry are saying the answer might come down to reputation control. Over the years, Shante shaped her public identity as the loyal partner, the woman who forgave, rebuilt, and guided her husband toward stability. Without that storyline, her entire brand loses its center. So for her, keeping the family image polished may not have been only about protecting a marriage. It may have been about protecting an entire empire she helped shape. And while all of this unfolds, the emotional weight on Snoop is becoming noticeable to the people closest to him. Friends say he shifts between frustration and emotional distance, pulling away from the spotlight even as his name keeps trending everywhere. He's dealt with legal fights, industry tension, and public drama before, but insiders say this situation hits in a completely different way. One source put it straight: he's not frustrated like before. He's hurt. He trusted her with everything, even his name. That kind of emotional blow is heavy for anyone, especially for someone whose entire public identity is built on calm leadership and steady control. And now those cracks in his armor are finally starting to show. This unraveling mess is crashing right into the darker rumors that have followed Snoop since the old death row days. Sug Knight's podcast has recently dragged back long-sleeping claims, hinting that some of Snoop's earliest success might have come with unseen strings attached. Deals, alliances, and quiet favors that could now get pulled back into the spotlight. Nothing in those stories can be confirmed, but the timing feels intentional. Almost every episode Sug drops seems to line up perfectly with whatever personal chaos Snoop is dealing with. It's almost like the former producer can sense weakness for the first time in years. The man who once felt untouchable in the music world now looks boxed in from multiple directions.
You know, people see the Snoop Dogg that's polished up and shined up, but they didn't see the one that was a rock, that he's seen the diamond in me.
Legal threats building up, old connections turning against him, and fans split between confusion and disbelief. People who've been in his circle for years say this moment is the toughest challenge to his entire identity. The calm, peace-focused figure who always said he preferred uplifting people over tearing them down is now gearing up for the most intense battle of his career. And behind the scenes, we're told his legal team is going line by line through everything. Old contracts, shared assets, and even production rights from his earliest tracks. The mission is direct and serious. The mission is clear. Separate his identity from hers before the courts can fold everything into one financial pot. But pulling that off means exposing years of private messages, management decisions, and possibly confidential material that could drag other high-profile names into the light. And while this legal battle is still forming, the cultural shockwave is already massive. Fans who watch Snoop's evolution, from street-connected beginnings to a mainstream figure loved worldwide, are struggling to make sense of this twist. The same man who spoke proudly about family values on daytime shows is now facing claims that his home life may have been crafted more like a storyline than reality. Some people feel he's the one who was misled, a victim caught up in a situation he never saw coming. But others quietly question whether he also played a part by keeping everything looking perfect for so long. It's the kind of contradiction that can reshape a legacy overnight, because if the base of Snoop Dogg's public image was built on something untrue, then every award, every father figure moment, every inspirational message hits differently now. And we can't pretend this is happening in a vacuum. The timing lines up with a bigger shift shaking the entertainment world. Other major figures, including Diddy, are facing serious criminal investigations, while long-buried industry scandals are being pulled back into the spotlight. The older generation of power players is facing a level of scrutiny we've never seen before, and Snoop now finds himself caught in that same wave. The pressure is real, the questions are stacking up, and the industry is watching every move he makes. Snoop, who was once seen as the exception, the one legend who dodged destruction through sharp instincts and humor, may now find himself caught in the same tidal wave hitting the rest of the industry. The hip-hop community, already shaken by betrayals, lawsuits, and broken alliances, is watching this situation with serious attention. And if things keep unfolding the way insiders say they will, this could signal the end of an era that depended more on polished image than real-life truth. All signs point toward a full-blown confrontation coming fast. Shante, who still hasn't released an official statement, is reportedly building her own legal team now. People close to her say she's ready to push back hard, claiming she helped build the broadest empire side by side with Snoop and deserves full recognition and serious compensation. If she takes that route, we could be looking at one of the most public, explosive divorces the entertainment world has seen in years. And if it reaches that level, this won't just be a private breakup. It could turn into a courtroom saga that drags in witnesses from decades of history. Picture former label executives being called in, longtime family associates stepping forward, and possibly even figures like Sug Knight being subpoenaed to speak on record. The whole thing could shift from behind-the-scenes heartbreak to a full-on public reckoning that the world watches unfold. For now, all anyone can do is watch as Snoop Dogg's world shakes between holding an empire together and having everything exposed piece by piece. The same man who once told the world to keep it real is now standing in a moment where he's being pushed to reveal just how real or how carefully crafted his life actually was. And one thing is guaranteed, this battle won't happen quietly. Every move he makes, every post he shares, every court document that drops will get torn apart by millions watching from the sidelines. Because when the king of the West Coast feels his crown slipping inside his own home, the whole kingdom feels that impact in a major way. So here's the big question everyone's waiting to see answered. When the full truth finally comes out, will Snoop Dogg rise again as the survivor he's always been known as? Or will he become another cautionary tale in a world built on smoke, mirrors, and perfect images? This story is nowhere near done, and the next chapter could flip everything once again. Drop your thoughts, like, subscribe, share, and comment. Tell us where you think this wild story is headed next. Until next time, stay alert, stay watching, and remember, nothing in Hollywood is ever as simple as it looks.